Fellow entrepreneurs, welcome to this video. This is Dan Schwartz, co-founder of Investor Fuse and the 80/20 Investor Academy. And I'm about to share with you a clip from a two-day 2021 planning workshop that we did last week for our Academy program, which is all about systemizing your business. It's an online group training program that helps you replace yourself in your business and grow a predictable scaling real estate investing business. And this one framework that we teach is going to save you a whole bunch of time in 2021 and beyond. It is a way for you to lock in what is important for you with a very simple framework around designing the perfect ingredients to your week, baking them into your week in a way that makes sense for people that actually don't like structure. So I'm one of those people. I know it's important, but I also need a bit of unstructured time in my day and in my week as well. And I'm going to show you the blend of structured versus unstructured that makes the most sense for active and busy real estate investors to make sure that you're actually getting the most possible work done and focusing on high leverage activities. It's called the Ideal Week Architecture, and this clip is going to run through the process for how to set up your ideal week. I hope you guys get a lot out of this video, especially as we're planning for the upcoming year. It's good to lock in some new productivity habits so that you can actually not only set targets, but hit those targets and build momentum towards the vision that you have for your life. If you're interested in joining the 80/20 Academy, we are opening up some spots for 2021. If you are an actively scaling real estate investor and you would like to scale your company quicker and surround yourself with some of the smartest entrepreneurial minds, all actively trying to fire themselves from the stuff that they don't like doing to build a more scalable, predictable, automated business infrastructure and to grow a business that they can eventually walk away from, then I would love to talk with you. Simply go to book8020call.com, book8020call.com. You can see a whole bunch of testimonials and results that we've gotten for our fellow Academy members. And we are actually going to be raising the price for it very, very soon. So if you're seeing this video before the New Year's, definitely go and request that call with me. We'll dig in for 45 minutes to an hour. And really, I want to understand where you're at in your business, where you want to go in the next 12 months. And if I can help you get there, I'll explain how our 80/20 program works. So just go to book8020call.com and enjoy this presentation about the Ideal Week Architecture.
Well, this quote kind of inspired me to do this whole workshop. And it hit me personally. You can't effectively manage someone else until you can effectively manage yourself. Peter Drucker. This is the OG executive coach. Great books, by the way, The Effective Executive and Managing Oneself, which I read both of those in preparation for this intensive, in addition to a bunch of other books that I took vigorous notes and highlighted to make sure that I can deliver this to you. But think about this, like your team is watching you to determine how they should manage their own time and priorities. Are you setting a good example for them? Are you? And if not, why not? I think it's super important to set the standard for how you use your time. Time is like the ultimate 80/20 leverage point because we all have the same amount of it. You know, Richard Branson and I both have the same amount of time every single day. Yet, how is he worth billions of times more than I am? Well, he's figured some stuff out, right? He's figured out how to leverage his time and create disproportionate value in the world, in the marketplace. And I'm sure all of his, owners that run his companies all follow his lead when it comes to how he manages himself, how he manages his time, how he sets his goals, how he, intentionally runs his life. And so that's what I want you guys to have as well. Because the problem is there's not enough time in the day. This is the biggest complaint / excuse that I hear from everybody, whether you're already on the path to success or you are struggling and you're stuck, not enough time in the day to do all this stuff, right? I've even heard it today from some of you. There's just not enough time in the day to do this. And you just get tired. Who here just feels tired? I mean, one of the biggest reasons that you get stuck is just because of the energy levels. Like you're just like zapped with energy because of all this busy work. And then when we do try to be productive, when we do try to do stuff like time blocking and Pomodoro technique and like deep work and all that, like for those of us who have tried to solve this problem, well, we might think to ourselves, every day is different. So how can we make a plan when we don't know what's going to happen the next day? Every day seems to be different. Firefighting, right? We fill our day reacting and responding to things that are outside of our control. And we lose track of the things that we just spent all day getting clear around what's important. But somehow the firefighting continues, and by the end of the day, you're super tired because of all the firefighting you did, and there's not enough time in the day to do the stuff that actually matters. Well, the solution is fivefold. We want to use intentional design. Intentional design. If you don't decide how you spend your time, someone else will. So let's take luck out of the equation. Like I said yesterday morning, let's take luck out of the equation. Let's decide exactly how we're going to spend our time. Otherwise, it will be dictated by everybody else. Everybody that's sending you emails, everybody that's trying to call you, everybody that's requesting your time. That's who is going to design your calendar and not you. Life's too short. Let's be intentional about how we design, how we spend the time that we have remaining alive. Like, it's too important to not be having this conversation. Lock in what matters. So a great quote from Chris Hart: show me your calendar and I'll show you your priorities. If you tell me that family is important, let me see your calendar. Do you have time blocked out to spend time with your family? Or is it just this like wall of business tasks? Do you want to have six-pack abs? Well, show me your calendar. Do you have time blocked out to go work out? Do you have time blocked out to meal prep? What matters to you, and why isn't it in your calendar if it does? Show me your calendar and I'll show you your priorities. I think this is super powerful. Honor your time. So when we are using something like a calendar, think about, if it's in the calendar, honor it like it's a meeting with a human being. Why would you act any differently? Do you show up 20 minutes late if you have a phone call scheduled at 2:00? You just roll into it at 2:20? No. Well, when we put stuff on the calendar, like complete quarterly planning sheet at 1 p.m. tomorrow, are you going to show up right at 1 p.m. and do that? Or is it just going to be like whenever I get to it? Why would it be any different, right? You owe it to yourself to show up and move your dreams forward and show up on time, show up for yourself. Honor it like it's the only time you got, which it is. That's what intentional design is all about. That's why we're teaching this framework. Stay on track. Does my calendar have the projects necessary to achieve determined rocks and thus propel your business forward? If not, add or remove stuff that is not focused towards that. Everything that we've mapped out should be in your calendar. It should be part of what you're executing on. If it's not in there, then how do you expect yourself to move forward? Like, execution is really what it comes down to. And this is how we are able to stay on track towards that. Little hack here: when you are building this out, you can actually make your actions in your calendar contextual. So you can add relevant information to your calendar invite, stuff like maybe the SOP, the process map, the phone number of the person you can call, details about what you actually have to do. Everything you need should be right in there, so you can just go in your calendar and execute. So here's some core principles behind how to do this intentional week architecture. Let me know if you have any questions as I go through this. So a lot of this is based on a concept called the 12-week year. If you ever noticed, with the traditional approach to goal setting, we do it on an annual basis. That's what we've been taught our whole lives. And think about what happens when we set goals in January and we hit the ground running in January. We say we're going to go to the gym twice a week. And then by the time February rolls around, it's already starting to trail off. And so by December, you're like not even anywhere near the level of motivation that you had in January. Because 12 months is a long freaking time. And when you're setting goals and you're mapping it to 12 months from now, there's just no way to maintain the urgency and motivation that you had at the beginning of the year. When you can split it up into 4 quarters, however, that urgency, that sense of urgency that you get when you're doing annual planning at the beginning of the year, you can recreate that 4 times a year. Really, really powerful. 3 times a year, 3 months. It's long enough to be able to get traction on a project, but not short enough to, or it's long enough to get traction on a project, but not long enough to like lose steam if like a 12-month cycle would be. So think about each quarter as its own year. That's what this whole 12-week year concept is about. I think it's brilliant. I agree with it. And I think that having a consistent urgency towards hitting targets on a quarterly basis is just too powerful. Like the human brain is not designed for like a 12-month planning cycle. So what I'm going to teach you is largely based on this concept. And then I showed you this before, but rocks first. Put your rocks in first. We determine what they are because it maps to the goal that we have for the quarter. And these 2 jars have the same amount of rocks in them. What's different? Well, the one on the left, they put the sand in first. The sand represents the fires that you have to put out, the people that are calling you, the bills that have to get paid, the emails that you're getting in, that emergency that popped up that you have to take care of. The pebbles are all the little other things that you have to do to execute on your business. Maybe you're cold calling, you have to, the work on the business stuff, or the work in the business stuff rather. So the pebbles are the work in, the sand is all the distractions, and then the big rocks are the core priorities that are going to move your business forward that we just defined. When we put the rocks in first, then the pebbles, and then let the sand fill in everything else, you can fit it all in. There is enough time in the day all of a sudden. When we lock in what matters, we do that first, we put that in first, you can build your lifestyle around that. So you will have time for the distractions, you will have time for the pebbles, and you will make sure that you get the rocks done first. Simple way to think about it. But if you imagine that jar as the 24 hours you have in the day, then it's clear that it's just a matter of prioritization to fit it all in. All right. Fireproofing. Let's talk about fireproofing, the opposite of firefighting. So firefighting is the death knell to all entrepreneurs. And it's the reason that we're all on this call. The vast majority of fires were things that we knew would happen. The vast majority of fires were things that we knew would happen. Sometimes there's some surprises there, but for instance, title problems. You know that not every property is going to have clear title, right? You knew that there was going to be this problem. Why is this such a holdup? Why don't we have a process for this? Firefighting really is an ego play. It's like something happened and I'm the only one that can fix it. Go me. Like I'm the only one that can fix it. Like it gives you a sense of purpose. And like there's studies around this actually, that firefighting is actually like, I forgot what the term is, but it's like masochist or whatever. Like you actually kind of enjoy the pain of having to firefight despite your higher level self knowing that this is distracting you from your core goals, right? Understand this, and it's the awareness around this is the first step. Don't eat the frog. So this advice was given to me by Ari Meisel, who's like a productivity guru that I was privileged enough to be on like a private call with 2 weeks ago. And the most popular advice is eat the frog. first thing in the morning. So that means like do the hardest thing first, like right when you get up, get it out of the way. And his advice was contrary to that. And it makes total sense. Apply this to your life however you can. But the common advice is to eat the frog and do the hardest task first. Well, what if you suck at the type of task first thing in the morning, but you're really good at that after 8 o'clock? Example, if the most important thing for me to do that day is to get out a blog post, I'm not going to write that in the morning because I am brain dead typically in the morning. And when I do that, if I force myself to do that, it would frustrate me for the rest of the day, which would negatively impact the entire rest of the day. So if you are not great at communicating with people early in the morning, and the first thing you have to do is call your private money lender and update them on your deal, maybe don't do that, right? Like maybe let's work with the natural flow of when we execute the best. Instead, when you do that, it'll just delay other people from getting stuff done. So like what to do first, just deal with the thing that people are waiting on you the longest for. Do that first. So just to kind of just be aware, like know thyself when you operate the best and block out times of the day to do that type of stuff. Deep work, do it at the time of day that you're the most creative, right? So structured versus unstructured time. You got to have both. And I wanted to put this in here because I know Lisa Lacey, she mentioned on a Q&A call that like, structured time doesn't make sense for her. And that's totally cool. Like she needs unstructured time. So do I. But in order to support your unstructured time, you do need some structure to your unstructured time. And that's what I'm going to share with you guys right now. So unstructured blocks, think of it in blocks. Unstructured blocks gives you flexibility, gives you novelty, gives you flow, which is super important as an entrepreneur. Structured blocks gives you a forcing function to do the critical tasks that progress you towards your vision. So if you think about a block, like a chunk of time as an unstructured block, you just set that chunk of time aside, and then you just have a list of stuff that you do separately, like ingredients that you can just do during those unstructured blocks. You can also give yourself free time. So it's kind of bridging the gap between structured and unstructured with time blocking. That's how we do this. And there's two ways to time block. You can time block like 15-minute chunks of your day, or you can say like for 3 hours during this time, I'm going to do critical tasks. And those critical tasks, you just pull from a menu of stuff that critical tasks means to you. That you can set these goals at the beginning of the week, what you want to do, and you give yourself blocks of time that are dedicated towards this list of critical tasks. And then you also give yourself free time where you can just do whatever the hell you want. So you got to kind of have both in order to get your day done. So the different types of blocks. Time blocking is the main benefit, the main way that this whole system is set up to get structured versus unstructured in. So you got critical tasks working in the business is what that means. So all of your project related tasks, your rock related tasks, all tasks that drive your assigned KPIs, working in the business, doing the work. Those are your critical tasks. Deep work focus. We spent all day in deep work focus mode. So congrats on that. That's working on the business. So that's writing, planning, education, creating SOPs, scripts, journaling, goal setting, vision capturing, strategic brainstorming, recruiting, strategic conversations, networking, $10,000 per hour plus actions, the deep work focused time. We know it's important, but we hardly ever lock it in. So deep work is work on the business, on your life. You can replace business with life. And then 3 more blocks, we got routine time. So routine time is basically the bookends to your day, morning routine and evening wind down routine. And then stuff like weekly reviews. These are just things that happen automatically because it's just part of your weekly structure now. I already asked you to schedule in your weekly review so you can look at your scorecard on January 8th. And you should do that every week. And then free time. So it's fine if, if from Friday from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m., you just want to have some free time, walk around, do whatever you want. Awesome. Lock it in. It's important for your brain and for your business for you to have some free time so you can think or do whatever you want. Maybe just relax. And then buffer time. So buffer is kind of like what happens in between these time blocks. And it's important to just give yourself buffer because things, like I said, it's hard to define a start and end time to when these things are going to happen. So buffer time gives you a little bit of wiggle room in your schedule so that it's not as structured as like you've probably seen, like I think Bill Gates has like 15-minute chunks that he like follows to a T. So you want to put around 20% of your time as buffer time. And so what I've done is I've made this super easy for you guys to write down the perfect ingredients that make up each of these blocks. And what really is going to make this powerful is for you to schedule it in. And I've given you a framework to kind of design what your week's going to look like. And then go here to do that. You go to investorfuse.com/time blocker. I'm going to open this up. investorfuse.com/time blocker. It's going to ask to make a copy. Oh, crap. Take out the ER. It's time block. It's time block, guys. investorfuse.com/time block. And it's going to ask to make a copy so that it saves to your Google Drive. And this is just a sample. But this is how simple it is to make this happen. You got the 4 or the 5 types of blocks that I just described. Your routine, kind of put down what that means. Your morning routine, evening wind down, eating, exercising, and meditation. Your free time. So that can be like relationship stuff, long walks, date nights, family time, relaxing. You got your deep work, stuff like writing, SOPs, education planning, strategizing, problem solving. You got your critical tasks, which is your follow-up calls, your meetings, your analysis, your prospecting, cold calling, going on appointments, doing the work, right? And then buffer time doesn't really mean anything. It's just there to be a buffer, typically after routine time and after critical task time. So what you can do is you can go in here and start writing down your ingredients. Start writing down what makes up each of these blocks for you. It's going to be different for a lot of people. And I gave you guys a template where you can actually do this in a more structured way and then hang it up on your wall so that you know exactly what you should be doing during those time blocks. So if you scroll all the way down, intentional week architecture, here's the worksheet right here. Download the worksheet. It's another fillable PDF. And it has the 4 major buckets of time. And you can go in and just start filling in, like, what are your work in the business tasks? What are some of your deep work tasks? And then what's the important free time stuff that you want to make sure you lock in? Like for me, I want to make sure that I have at least 12 hours of free time during the weekend. I need it. I also need deep work time at night. So this is actually my personal, because I know that like between the hours of 10 and 11 is when I do my best like creative thinking. And between 9 and 10, I do my best creative thinking. You know, you lock this in. I do good like frameworky stuff during this time. Routine is just your morning routine. Here, I'm having lunch. Here is dinner. You can color code it and you can write it in. This is super flexible how you want to do this. And then I got a bunch of free time during the weekend. I want to make sure that I got some free time in the evening. And I make sure I get deep work in during the week. Doesn't have to be every day. Friday nights, this is date night for me. We got mandatory date night with Alexandra. And then Saturday is just like, you know, family and friends, right? Same thing on Sunday. Sunday, I like to do a little deep work to plan what the next week's going to look like. I know Carlos does the same. This is where Carlos will come in and he'll do his, he'll record how his week went. So anyways, you use this to kind of design what your week looks like roughly in these blocks of time that aren't specific. Like you notice that it's not like 11 a.m. to 11:30 cold call, 11:30 to 12 follow-up emails. Like don't be that like regimented. You can if you want, but just call them critical tasks and then fill out this ingredient list, put it up on your wall. And so then you know that when it's 11 a.m., you're only going to be doing the stuff on the critical tasks list. All right. This is sort of the blend of structured versus unstructured time. And I don't know why we don't talk about this a lot, but I feel like this is going to give you guys some structure to the week. And I hope that this all made sense to you guys. And so then the final step, once you've kind of designed this on Google here, on Google Sheets, once you design that, then you can lock it in to your calendar. That, and really this is the goal, is you want to lock it in to your calendar. And this is what it's going to look like when you do that. You basically will put in your routine time here. You'll put in your deep work time and set it as busy in Google Calendar so that no one can schedule calls during that. That's critical. Your critical task time, you can make it free so that people can schedule calls, especially if you're doing cold calls and going to appointments and stuff during this time. Your free time, you make busy so that you can lock in. If you said if family is a priority, then set the time and block it so that no one else can schedule stuff during that time. The goal is to get everything automated so that it comes into Google Calendar and you can do cool stuff like in Calendly, which is what you should use for all scheduling. You can have it mapped so that it won't schedule anything during deep work time or free time or routine time. And so you have this that you follow throughout the day, and you can schedule other stuff as well. So you can see here, I'll zoom in. Critical task time for me is like doing my 80/20 Academy calls.